We've also been working with Exeter University to develop an accreditation which enables us to measure the distance travelled by participants in quite a hard and clear way, which makes it much easier to evidence the ways in which arts can be beneficial in this context.
We map their progression through the award so that we can see how the art that they're doing or how the drama that they're doing is actually developing them, and we can prove it. Perhaps you might get a group of learning disabled from the day centre. Instead of them just being sent out to do an arts project, they become aware of what's going on because they're fed back to about the progression.
Well, how the accreditation scheme worked for myself as an arts deliverer working on the Youth Fusion project was that we would meet myself and the other arts workers that had been working as part of the project, as well as with the support worker from the Belgrade and from other key organisations, like in our case it was Connections. And because we'd all been working in different contexts, it really gave us the opportunity to look at how the beneficiaries had developed from a broad range of different perspectives, and gave us a more kind of rounded opinion of how they had developed.
By feeding back to the beneficiaries on all the constructs, such as their communication skills, managing relationships, their reflective learning, work focus and work readiness. So by feeding back to them on all those constructs, it enables them to understand where they need to focus and where they need to develop, so that they become better within the arts project, but also they're developing their skills themselves for personal effectiveness and employability.
We've developed a method of measuring distance travelled on the project. That's involved looking at what criteria we consider make somebody employable and assessing the participants on the programme according to those criteria. So that might be an ability to work as part of a team, it might be communication skills, it might be work-ready skills. And a framework's been set up so that we can measure where a participant is at the start of the project, and they also do a self-assessment so that we see the difference between what we perceive and what they see as their particular skill set. And those levels are then checked at different intervals throughout the course of the project. How
the accreditation scheme worked was that the beneficiaries were given the opportunity to evaluate their own progress throughout the course of the project, which meant that they were much more aware of how they were being changed or developed throughout the course of the programme.
I think that the results of the work with the beneficiaries have been very positive. That's something that as the Belgrade we're quite used to. The Belgrade has a very strong tradition of using the arts as a developmental tool, of working with hard to reach groups to build social skills, develop community cohesion and so on. So what the opportunity it's provided for us is to demonstrate the power of this work to other partner organisations so that they can see how it might benefit their beneficiaries.
I think the really positive things that have come out of our experience in working with ArtsPEP is actually the fact that people have been able to do different things within the community outside of day services.
Because of the opportunities that they were given, I could see a drastic change in the beneficiaries that I was working with from the start of the project through to the end. Going from people who are quite lacking in confidence, particularly in social settings, through to people who were really quite aware of their own abilities and how that tied into getting themselves into the workplace.
You see, the outcomes that we were looking for were around employment. We wanted to look at art forms to support people into employment. But what we've realised is that where the avenues that we've explored around transport, about relationships, about confidence building, these are all the things that these people need for life as well. So it's just so vitally important that we explore this with people.
It has been worth the journey in terms for all the agencies and organisations together. I think all of them have taken away something new, something innovative in terms of ways of working and changing the ways that they work. And I think it's been very worthwhile for all the beneficiaries in terms of the journeys that they've taken along this path, because of the distance that they've travelled. It's moved them from A to B, and B being closer to the labour market through this vehicle which is fusing together participative arts and employability.
I mean, I have seen in 8 months, I've seen people open up and become confident and grow and use all sorts of talents that some of them didn't even know they'd got, be able to use them and be able to achieve something more than sort of treading water with their lives.
I feel very passionately that we should be doing this nationally. Hopefully we will get the award accredited. But I feel that even if it wasn't accredited, I think it's such a useful tool to do along with the arts. And I think that the arts are such an excellent tool for bringing people out, for giving them confidence, for enabling them to work with other people, to do all kinds of things they would never have dared to do before, such as speaking in front of a crowd of people, being on film, all kinds of things that they've done that at the beginning of the project they would have said, no, you'll never get me doing that. The beneficiaries have found it of great value. I had a lovely moment recently when I went into the second round of this project in an ex-offenders hostel, where one of the previous ex-offenders came back, and he was sitting there and he just wanted the chance to say how much he had personally benefited from doing the project, how he'd started off with his arms folded, not wanting to join in, and gradually had understood what it was all about, and by the end was very much more positive, got a lot more self-esteem, and is now feeling much more ready to start to apply for jobs.
At the outset, I believe around 17 different partners started around the table for ArtsPEP. That's a very large number of organisations to have steering a project and shaping the outcomes. And whilst some of those organisations have dropped off during the life course of the project, there's still quite a wide partnership network that has existed continuously through the project. And it's actually the partnership approach that has allowed ArtsPEP to flourish, I think.
You know, partnership working is now how we need to move forwards, because we all bring very different things to a working relationship of any kind. And by involving a lot more partners, the awareness of what we're trying to do actually is raised much more generally across the city.
Work that we'd been carrying out in the University of Exeter previously in quite different contexts have been based on notions of a community of practice. Now, one of the starting points for our work was to draw together from each of these disparate organisations a broad community of practice, or practitioner group who were working at the sharp end with beneficiaries using arts-based interventions. The formation of that community of practice has actually been one of the things that allowed us to develop a much more uniform approach across different organisations and beneficiary groups.
It's been wonderful really to have the opportunity to work with and for disadvantaged groups on the fringes of society, which otherwise would not necessarily have worked together. It seems ridiculous really to think that all these people have got quite similar problems and are working in their own vacuums normally. But as a result of this project, everybody was able to pool their ideas together to produce something very meaningful.
This style of working with partners, enabling people to have different experiences and different opportunities, I think will actually help people to achieve their goals and access activities and paid work.
ArtsPEP, through the skills through the arts side of things, is tied into a major transnational partnership, including partners in the Netherlands, Italy and Hungary, to look at how we can compare the approaches taken with similar beneficiary groups in different countries. And that's always, that's been a very beneficial experience, I think, both for the artists who participated in exchange trips and for ourselves in the research work we've been doing with the transnational partners.
I've just witnessed that the end of the project's show, which really shows that people have gained lots of new skills and really positive about the future.
I want to be your wife.
It was fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better concert like this one.
Good fun, night fun, good fun. Way.
I mean, obviously I've been working with learning disabilities now for many years, and I know I've been to see things before, but I don't think I've ever found anything till today that really hit you as hard as it did about people being involved.
I thought they were really impressed today, really did. I enjoyed the activity and everything, it's really brilliant.
Very good, enjoyed it. It was very good, I had Johnny music.
Great, really brilliant. All the staff, all the people in there. We have to can we get them on a camera later?
Prior to the ArtsPEP project, we had been doing small amounts of work in the arts with people within day services. This project has enabled us to take that out of day services and has actually raised the credibility of the arts in working with people with learning disabilities and with the City Council.
It was also good to see that actually everybody can take part. You know, Michael's got a really good gift, but there's people there who were enabled to take part in any little way that they can, and actually that was really good to see as well.
Well, it sums up what this whole project has been about, in that each person was supportive of the next person.
I'd like to go and sing at the Belgrade Theatre on a show. That's what I'd like to do, if I could.
And what came over most uniquely so, the fact that if there was any hidden talent or potential, they did encourage and made that person feel, if they come to it, that they were a person of some worth. That's what's made the project a privilege and pleasure.
I mean, I've never known a project, I've never been involved in a project that has actually had so much good, positive feedback. And this has been a brilliant way of getting people out into another community.
The real positive outcome is people's confidence and people's ability and the talents that they have, talents which don't actually get found by people attending the day services that we very traditionally had. I mean, very clearly today there's lots of people there who've got some real talents, and their confidence in being able to perform today has really grown. That means that hopefully they've got the confidence to be able to go out of our services and actually, you know, perhaps get work, get jobs somewhere, or just take part in community activities that they just wouldn't have been able to do before.
I gained a lot by singing this morning and this afternoon's performance.
I like singing with the notables, and I like coming to the church. I like everybody kind to me. Lovely. Thank you, Michael.
An example of where working in partnership at delivery level has been particularly successful is a partnership that we, the Belgrade, developed with Coventry City Council's Client Support Unit called Fusion. It delivered more conventional employability support. It delivered arts in an applied context, and it also gave people an opportunity to participate in straight arts activity. And all of that was delivered against a background of holistic support that the Client Support Unit has available to clients as they need it.
We've been trying to sort out some acts where we can react real life situations, i.e. interviews, go through the interviews, find out where we're going wrong, where we can get better.
The Fusion project's been very successful in terms of the take-up. The first programme that we ran, I think, had about 15-16 participants on it. And the second programme, likewise, the second programme we had 100% retention rate, which is very rare working with hard-to-reach groups, and the results have been fantastic.
I've got a lot more confidence now. I didn't used to go out. but now I've got a few more friends and I'm going out more. I feel more confident in the group as opposed to before. I didn't feel confident at all. Basically, I just feel a lot happier now I've started the group.
I've gone for interviews, and for the first time ever I felt relaxed actually in the interviews. You are a person. You're talking to people and they're actually talking to you instead of talking at you.
I think ArtsPEP is a particular success, one because people are participating and they're learning through participating, and two because it's a tailor-made programme, so it's being developed in order to suit the needs of particular target groups, but also to follow the needs and developments of individuals within the groups that we're working with.
GEES has been working in the criminal justice system for the last 20 years. This work is very specifically focused on employment. It actually gives us the chance to be using a combination of thinking about how our past experiences affect all of our behaviours. We can focus the behaviours and the skills that we need to be able to get on in a work context.
We've been doing quite a lot of sort of role play based around various sort of situations and the way people act in those situations. After that, we've then been sort of analysing different ways we would have dealt with those situations.
At first, I thought, what a load of rubbish, to be truthful. But as the weeks went on, it starts growing on you, and you start getting involved. And what it's given me, it's a bit like you think before you act.
We tried to focus it on 4 different areas. First of all, where people are at, what's going on for them in their lives. Then we begin to focus on some of the skills that people will need. And again, what we're doing, I suppose, is deconstructing anti-models. So we start to look at the skills, first of all, that won't work, and then we look at the skills that will. The third block, we're definitely focusing on developing communication skills, working in groups, on problem solving. What we then try to focus on in the final block is about giving people confidence.
The situations are made quite comfortable